What is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
All right. What is it? Sunday? Is it Sunday night? Is it the Sunday night Radio Baloney Live? I am your host, Richie Baloney, by the way. Hope everybody's had a great weekend. I had a good weekend. It was kind of Rancho Relaxa. It was nice. Hope everybody's doing well. Well, I guess the big news is Canada's got a new, well, shortly we'll have a new prime minister. Carney has been elected by the Liberal Party to be the next prime minister when Justin Trudeau does actually officially resign, make it official, which will be in the next few days, probably, although who knows? Who knows these days? All right. Looks like we got Spambot. Eve Samard says, is it fair that I liked before it started? That is absolutely that is just being smart. That's just being smart. Double good karma for you. Izzy, how you doing? Rosie, Dramus, Izzy, Spambot. How you guys all doing? Good to see you. All right, quickly, let's just get to the menu. Well, obviously, the first thing is this globalist hobgoblin is the new leader of the Liberal Party, soon to be the Prime Minister of Canada until the next election. So we're going to get into that. It really doesn't say 150,000 Liberals decide who's going to be the next Prime Minister. A guy who has never held elected. Nobody's ever voted for this guy. He's not an MP. He's barely been in Canada for like the last 15 years. He's got 3 passports, yet this is who the establishment decided should run Canada and challenge Pierre Poilievre for the next election, the next federal election. It all seems kind of messed up, doesn't it? Let's see. So we'll talk about this. We've got lots to get into. There's the Oompa Loompa seems really happy. The finance Oompa Loompa. Let's see. We're going to talk about, so we're not hearing that much about this in the news. They're not freaking out that much in the news. For some reason, China is hitting Canada with 100% tariffs. For some reason, though, this isn't getting quite the energy from the media and from the Liberals as the Trump stuff. For some reason, I wonder why that would be. Sure, it's nothing to do with it being China, and this doesn't seem like it's going to help them politically. I wonder, huh? Interesting, though. So interesting. We're going to take a look at the tariffs, a bit more on the tariffs, which, to be honest, the whole thing is just a giant shit show now. I think it just needs to go away. Although I don't think the Trudeau government will let it go away. Well, sorry, the Liberals will go away, and the Carney Trudeau government is not going to let it go away because they see it as being politically advantageous to them because they are that cynical. Of course they are. Oh my God, Liberal Party put out this this little retrospective on Trudeau here to thank him for all of his service. Yeah, they say thank you, Justin. Thank you so much, Justin. We'll go through this because it's brutal, and we're going to make fun of it, obviously. And we'll take a look at all the things that Justin Trudeau has accomplished since 2015, like skyrocketing national debt and rampant inflation and homelessness and all the good things that progressives bring to a formerly successful and happy country. We've got Pierre Poilievre responding here. We've got a bit of Victor Davis Hanson. We don't actually have a huge amount on the docket. I think Rosie sent this one in. That's a duck going down a slide. That's just nice. That's why we watch that, because it's just nice. It makes you feel better. With all the crazy news. We got the WNBA is threatening to, I don't know, what are they threatening to go on strike or something? Because they're not paid as much as the males. I've made videos on this before, but it just never gets old. We've got, what was it? What is she saying? We're going to cover this. It's not a criminal violation to enter the country illegally. Readers added context. Yes, it is a crime. It is. To enter illegally is illegal, amazingly. We got a lion here. He's going to try some, he's going to try out some lettuce, some vegetables, and I think a predictable response. We've got a very, very clever squirrel there. And the absolute state of Canada, that's how you get a ATM out of the wall. You take an excavator and then just dig it out of the wall in Canada, and it's fine. That's just how things are done here. Two-tier Kier. We've got lots of stuff. All right. But not that much tonight. So we're going to try and keep it kind of quiet. We're not going to do any Rumble Premium segment tonight because we just don't have enough material tonight. Because we just don't, because I didn't. And that's why. All right. What are you guys talking about? Let's get to the chat and then we'll get started. As he says, good hip exercises, I see. Well, everything that I show you has got to be good for you in some way and instructive in some way. Right? So that's why I do this stuff. It's not just news. It's just basic things. A lot of stuff is just stuff, sports stuff, that just is good for you. Spambot says he doesn't have a seat in the House of Commons. No, he's not an MP. Nobody's ever actually voted for him outside of this Liberal vote, which is kind of a joke anyway. But no, I mean, Canada didn't get to vote, right? A bunch of liberals, diehard liberals, got to decide who's the next prime minister. Rosie says, Marks Carney. Yeah, bad news. Let's see. Let's see. Spambuff says, Rumble is lagging again. Is it? It seems that you seem to be the only one with that problem for some reason. I don't know what's going on. Let's see. Spambot says X is lag free. Well, we're on X, so that's a good place to watch too. Rosie says, since we will no longer have Trugina, what do we call this guy? Hold on a sec. No, the sneezing's starting again. Since we no longer have Trugina, they call him Trugina. What do we call this guy? Fake China. Actually, fake China is not bad, but I think we're going to go with them. With Smart Tard for now. I mean, I like Mark's Carney as well. That's a good one. But Smart Tard I think works because he's supposed to be smart, but he's actually a tard, as we know. Spambot says if the WNBA wants to invite men to watch, then the uniforms must be transparent. We're talking about the WNBA here. I'm not sure that's going to make it better. Let's see. Rosie says, yes, me. She sent in the duck thing, and it is very adorable. Buffington Pete says, cheers all. Regardless, hope for the best. Call immediately a federal election. I think it's going to be coming soon. I don't think they're going to wait. They're looking at the poll numbers, which I think are illusory at this point. But they're looking at that, and I think they're going to strike while the iron's hot. Carney himself obviously knows that none of the policies that he would enact are actually going to do anything. So not anything positive. So the longer it goes on before an election, the worse for him, because people will just go, oh, yeah, okay, this is just more Trudeau. So he's got to, I think they've got to have any hope at all. I think that they've got to call it soon. I know that some people are freaking out over the polls. I would say just relax. I tell you what, if a month into a campaign, if even a couple of weeks into a campaign, those numbers aren't changing, then you can start to worry a little bit. I'm not too worried. There's most Canadians still don't know who Mark Carney is, right? Most still don't know. Most still couldn't name him if you showed a picture, right? Once he gets through the rigors of an election campaign, once he has to go through that and the scrutiny, and then you also have a new level of scrutiny with social media that he's going to have to survive. I don't think it's going to go well. Well, we'll get into more of that. Drama says yoga is better than they-them energy. What's they-them energy? What the heck is that?
They-them energy. They-them energy. They-them energy. They-them energy.
I like the yoga better. I think it's better energy. That's yoga energy. Buffington Pete says the polls are fake as fuck. Well, I'll tell you what, the ecos you can just write off immediately. Frank Graves, he's on record saying he's going to do everything in his power to make sure Pierre Poilievre does not get elected prime minister. Ecos you can just throw out, right? I think there is a Kamala effect happening. I mean, I can believe a poll with them up to 30 right now with the bump, maybe even 31, 32 with that, with the bump you get from a leader stepping down, a new one stepping up, there's a campaign, they're getting into the media, the liberal faithful getting really excited. So, and people that may not have been who may not have been excited at all to vote liberal, maybe now they get a little bit of a bump from that. But again, over the course of an actual federal election cycle, there's an enormous amount of danger for Mark Carney, right? Things are going to get revealed, especially with social media as dominant as it is now with X. It's going to be a problem for him. Let's see. Spambot says, what did you do? If you play it again, my thumbs down will stay and play. Hey, don't thumbs down. That's not good. Their algorithm doesn't like that. What are you doing? He says, I'll only switch it back to thumbs up if my ears are not assaulted for the rest of the stream. I promise nothing. I promise nothing.
None of you seem to understand. I'm not locked in here with you.
That's it! You're locked in here with me.
I promise nothing. Let's see. All right. Well, let's get to it then, shall we? Let's just get started. All right. So, new Liberal Party leader, Mark Carney. Where do I want to get started with this? Here we go. So, from Brian Lilly, Carney wins with just shy of 86% of the vote. Freeland got 8%. Gould and Bayless each got 3%. Liberal coronation. So why say liberal coronation? Well, let's see. Katie Telford, Gerald Butts, Trudeau's people backing Mark Carney. The CBC and the corporate media got the hint very quickly. You saw an enormous amount of positive Mark Carney coverage. All of his many gaffes and mistruths so far, all totally spun. No big deal. It's just being imprecise. When he claims that the United States gets almost all of their semiconductors from Canada, and, a guy like him, a tough guy like him, could maybe those semiconductors could just stop arriving in the States, all the leverage he has. Yeah, it turns out it's less than 1%. Totally made up. Well, he's not speaking precisely at all times. He's not speaking, precisely meaning telling the truth. He's not doing that. So anyway, spin, cover up, it was clear. He's the guy who's going to save not only the Liberals, but the CBC, and also that $600 million of subsidies from the federal government to the rest of the corporate media. So he's the guy. It's almost as if they just all had a meeting, right? Decided, although, just instinctively they would know. Just not anybody but the conservatives. All right. So, and that 86% of the vote was from 150,000 Liberal Party members who voted. So that's the new Prime Minister of Canada, selected by the Liberal Party of Canada, by Liberal Party supporters. The rest of Canada gets no say in who's going to be the Prime Minister. Just those 150,000 Liberal supporters who voted for Mark Carney. Now, in fairness, this is, it has happened in the past, right? That you've had a replacement leader for conservatives and for liberals, right? I don't think that this is it really kind of makes sure when things are as serious as they are now is when the flaw in this plan starts to really assert itself. you end up with a Mark Carney in a very serious time when we need somebody a hell of a lot better. But what can you do? So we also need to remember that he is not prime minister yet. Mark Carney is not prime minister yet. Probably in the next few days, over the next week, probably at the most. Trudeau is still technically prime minister. He's still not officially resigned. He has not been officially sworn in as prime minister, but that is coming. All right. What do we have here? So Mark Carney is now the prime minister, only in Canada. And who is this from? This is from government is corrupt. Government corrupt. Only in Canada can an unelected private citizen with 3 passports be chosen as the country's leader. So much for democracy. Fuck Mark Carney, he says. Fuck Mark Carney. Fuck Mark Carney, indeed. An unelected private citizen with 3 passports. This is the guy, the self-proclaimed elitist globalist. There's the Oompa Loompa, Trudeau's old Oompa Loompa. I guess he's her Oompa Loompa now. And by the way, part of the coronation of Mark Carney was not just the obvious adoration from the media. It was also the leadership race itself was just a mutual admiration society. All the other candidates they'd all just given up already. It was all just a formality so it could look like they were having some sort of leadership race. None of them took it seriously. It was clear that they were just letting him have it, letting him take it without any struggle whatsoever. There was nothing. You'd almost would have thought that, he's their hero. Katrina Gould and Bayliss and Chrystia Freeland. So Mark Carney says our charter and healthcare system has helped to make Canada the best country in the world, and now Trump wants to take it. Who believes this horseshit? Idiots, right? That's who this is for. This stuff is for idiots. Let's take a look. Along with the, Trump's going to invade Canada crowd.
You have just heard from my colleagues what we stand for as the Liberal Party. The Charter, healthcare, childcare, opportunity. We have made this the greatest country in the world. And now our neighbors want to take us. No way. No way. This party.
Only an idiot thinks that the United States is going to invade and take over Canada. Only an idiot. That's who this is for. Those people clapping, that's who it's for. Idiots, morons, people who can't think. That's who it's for. That's who he's appealing to. That's who he's depending on. Does he even know what he's saying is bullshit? I don't know. He's so woke. God knows. His mind has been so rotted by progressivism. Who knows? All right, I want to hear this. Dan McTeague about Mark Carney, talking about that he's got Gerald Butts and Katie Telford, who are Trudeau's people with him. It should be alarming, aside from the fact that he's been advising Trudeau since at least 2020. At least 2020. And when you take a look at Mark Carney's book, it's clear why what's happened to Canada has happened to Canada. Because Trudeau was listening to Mark Carney. But let's continue.
What, cutting through everything, what should Canadians really be afraid of with Mark Carney?
Well, trying to find where this party finds itself on the spectrum has it at the far left. It isn't the center where we were. And it wasn't a party that pursued socialism. But this is a party that, and its apparent would-be leader, Mark Carney, would like to see systems like social credit. So in other words, reduce the standard of living in the country, have people riding around on bicycles in their 15-minute cities, which is why Stephen Guilbeault supported him. Impose on Canadians hardship, the likes of which they are starting to experience and they don't like. while at the same time the rest of the world was passing us by, watching our economic performance, our GDP per capita drop to the lowest levels among OECD countries over inevitably. This is a man who represents continuity of bad policy. This is the face, the man behind the curtains, if you will, operating the levers on Justin Trudeau. So as the country has declined, a lot of people ask, well, where's this coming from? It comes from a man who obviously had very little interest in investing in Canada, a lot more interest in making sure that the things he doesn't like are invested abroad, whether he's a technocrat or not. I think it's important because he tries to present himself as being something that he clearly is not. He has no common sense of what people are going through. He is a person who is.
Do I need to remind you that he is a self-declared, I've shown you the videos, a self-declared elitist globalist. Elitist globalist. So no, he does not. He has no idea like what Canadians want. He's going off now of like polling and basically general like CBC sentiment. Anyway, let's continue.
Has been lifted on a silver spoon, and I take nothing away from the fact that he's probably very talented at what he does, but he's not right suited for what is required in politics, and that's the ability to understand ordinary person's struggles. He doesn't get it. In fact, he's had everything to do with making the life and the ordeal of most Canadians that much more arduous and difficult. And so for that reason, he is an easier target, in my view, than Justin Trudeau. We know Trudeau was a bit of a goof, never really had. All he had was the last name, but he's done some really dumb things. Mark Carney is very unapologetic. The very fact that he has Gerald Butts and Katie Telford and the same group of Liberals behind Justin Trudeau behind him, that should be an alarm, as well as his wife. And I don't like to bring in, our backgrounds, but his wife is part of the Eurasia group, part of the most militant of climate, catastrophists out there. Diane Fox, I should say, Carney. There's no doubt in my mind these people are committed to their green agenda, which it does not include human beings in terms of their ability to make ends meet unless they're prepared to accept a significant decline in their standard of living according to what they think. This is another form of authoritarianism on a level that Canadians are unfamiliar with. And if democracy doesn't matter with them, as it appears to be the case in the Liberal Party today, we have a parliament that hasn't functioned since September. By order of the Speaker, the Liberals have refused to divulge information about their green slush fund. That's money that you and I, or children or grandchildren, will have to pay for years to come, that have been divested to make these green grifters very, very rich. The fact that the government is protecting all of that while at the same time changing a leadership, which is going to have pretty much the same policy, while at the same time not bringing Parliament back and not giving the will of the people to give its stamp of imprimatur on what the government is doing, suggests to me this is a government that doesn't really care about people, doesn't have to worry about people. And of course, is acting in a way that is totally anathema to our institutions and our public approval of the kind of direction the country is taking. Mark Carney is going to be a real problem for Canada, and the sooner we get to having an honest discussion about him, rather than his trolls making him look out like he's something that is the greatest thing since sliced bread, is going to be a real challenge. I think not just for Conservatives, but for folks like me who have been long-standing Liberals, many of us sitting in the wings, and we are not holding back. We are pouncing on this man because he's extraordinarily dangerous for this country.
Well, none of what's happened seems very democratic, does it? But the one thing that Canadians need to know, the Conservatives need to do a great job of. One thing that Conservatives need to do a great job of getting out to people to make sure that Canadians understand is that Mark Carney wants to end oil, right? He's written a book about it. A Brookfield asset manager. He was the head of the ESG, Environmental Social Governance Program. Environmental plus the social. So he's got the woke too. He loves woke. He's already told us that, Trump's got that war on woke. No, we're doing super woke here. But he wants to end energy. There's not going to be any pipelines, right? There's not going to be any replacing Chinese coal or Indian coal or German coal, for that matter, with Canadian LNG. None of that's going to be happening with Carney. In his own book, he talks about how they're going to have to, the change is going to be hardest in Canada for Alberta. What's in Alberta? His climate, his net zero changes we're talking about. What's in Alberta? A lot of oil, right? Gonna be hardest there, but not to worry. There's going to be all kinds of new opportunities with magic something or other. Magic green things. Maybe it's, what is it, magic beans? So once Mark Carney is subjected to the kind of scrutiny that's coming, I don't think he's going to be as popular, but the message needs to get out about what he really is and what he really stands for. All right. Not to mention his lying. I'm noticing, I'm going to, I noticed I got a little bit of an uptick on my Mark Carney videos just today. I'm interested to see if, because I made a bunch of Mark Carney videos about all of his problems and him lying constantly. I'm interested to see if a few of those kind of take off. It's, it could happen. From Brian Lilly. So this shows you they've been dragging out Jean Chrétien, who just appears to have absolutely no idea what the hell is happening or what Justin Trudeau has been doing or what Mark Carney is going to do or what the Liberal Party of today is, and that it's not the Liberal Party that he ran. It's an illiberal, radical progressive party. I find this kind of sad. Right here from Brian Lilly, Jean Chrétien said there should be a pipeline from Alberta to Quebec. It will keep steelworkers on the job. Can anyone imagine a Carney government embracing a pipeline? Well, Mark Carney has already, on the record, told Quebec that they are not going to get any pipelines. So I find this just kind of sad. Chrétien was not a terrible prime minister, but I think he's just totally out of it at this point. Let's take a look.
To build a pipeline for natural gas from Alberta to Quebec. Alberta, the family of my mother, and Quebec of my father. So, I think that if we do that, that will keep the steel workers working in Canada for a long time. People to build a plan for natural.
Yeah, it's not getting the warmest round of applause there for that. Yeah, that's not going to be happening. I just find it kind of sad. Like I'm fine with Jean Chrétien. I just think he's clearly now at this point just has no idea what's going on, and I think it's kind of sucks that they would bring him out. Because that what he just said there, you heard the response, right? Didn't go over super well. He clearly has no idea what's happening. I'm not saying that he's demented. I'm just saying that I'm not saying that he's Biden at this point. I'm saying that he's clearly not in touch with what's the Liberal Party of today is. I think he's living in the past. So it's kind of saddens me a little bit. So from Viva Fry here, 150,000 people just decided Canada's next prime minister. A 3-passport carrying World Economic Forum. He was on the board of the World Economic Forum. Globalist. Don't forget, as self-professed elitist. Climate crisis mania. Davos whore. Well, that's harsh. That's very harsh. Understand that. Yes, so 150,000 people just decided Canada's next prime minister. Until the next election, I do not believe Mark Carney will win the next election. Here we go. Here's some more stuff for idiots. New Liberal Party leader Mark Carney. Canada will never be part of America in any way. This is for stupid people. This is for idiots. Canada is in no danger of being invaded and occupied by the United States. That's just not going to happen. This kind of talk is for fools.
America is not Canada. And Canada never, ever will be part of America in any way, shape, or form. Look,
I'll tell you what, his leadership, if he got 4 years, we'd end up being quite a lot closer to it, at least parts of Canada, like Alberta, Saskatchewan, maybe. I mean, I think it'd be enough to convince Quebec to want to get the hell out again as well. So, I don't know. It's just Canada is not going to become. Well, for one thing, Trump is obviously not going to invade Canada. That's just not going to happen. That's retarded. The 51st state stuff is just, it's either they're pretending to not know how Trump operates or they just don't know, right? He comes out with these wild out there statements to create a kind of shock and confusion with the person who's going to be eventually sitting across the table from him before settling on something reasonable. That's just the way it works. But I guess it plays well politically for idiots, for him to get idiots to support him. Let me just see what else we got here. Okay. If you want to get an idea of, actually, hold on. Let me just see. Okay, yeah, we got to get to these tariffs as well, but Chinese tariffs. But hold on. All right. All right, let's get to this. So, on Mark Carney, if you want to know who Mark Carney really is, we're getting some very early. I mean, aside from everything he's ever said and done, we're getting some good ideas here. So, let's take a look at this. And first, let's watch this, and then we'll do a grok on this and have it. Okay, hold on.
But I'm working with Carney, surprise, and I'm trying to get a rental program in where people can buy, put it into a 25-year pool, get a preferred rate from CMHC, and let's allow foreign buyers to buy it. They have to rent it out for 25 years, and it'll show the world that we are open for business. But I'm
okay, so that's just what Canadians want. More foreign buyers of Canadian real estate. Just what Canadians want. This is the kind of stuff that it needs to be made clear to the Canadian people that they can expect from a Carney government. The Post refers to Rennie, a prominent real estate developer in Vancouver, collaborating with Mark Carney, a former Bank of Canada governor and potential Liberal Party, well, he is the Liberal Party leader now, to use the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation to finance pre-sales of properties to foreign buyers. To foreign buyers. Why we have a housing crisis? It says aiming to stabilize or boost the Canadian housing market. Are you sure it's going to go over very well? And you're sure it's actually going to do that? Boosting it by making it more expensive? Is that what they're talking about? Because this is not going to go over well. So right now, wanting to encourage, right now wanting to facilitate and encourage foreigners buying Canadian properties. This is, I mean, it's actually hard to imagine anything being a worse idea politically, but there you have it. Let's see. All right, what else we got here? All right, so there's another side of Carney that's not going to go over very well. All right, I should really be more organized here. We went over this here where he's asked about pipelines and he won't use the word pipelines because he has no intention of building pipelines. That would be against his philosophy. Be against Carney's, radical progressive environmental philosophy. It's not going to happen. All right, we already saw this. All right. Well, here he is talking about, well, on one hand, the economy's great. On the other hand, the economy's really bad. So which one is it from Carney, I wonder? I don't know. Hold on.
And I would say as well, our economy is stronger than the American economy in the medium term.
I want to be clear about the, quote, strength of our economy. So our economy was weak before we got to the point of these threats.
And this is all like just in a matter of weeks.
And I would say as well, our economy is stronger than the American economy in the medium term.
I want to be clear about the, quote, strength of our economy. So our economy was weak before we got to the point of these threats.
So the first one is his latest statement, and then the second one is before, just weeks ago. I guess maybe the reason he's doing that is because it's been pointed out that he's been advising Trudeau since 2020, probably well before then in a more informal way. Because, again, you look at Carney's book and you go, oh, yeah, this is why Canada's in the state that it's in, because Trudeau has been getting advised by this guy and just swallowed his story, his net zero bullshit whole. By the way, I'm seeing a lot of Marx. There's some Marx mentions in talking about, labor theory of value and stuff, which he doesn't seem to be that against. He seems to be kind of a little bit admiring of Karl Marx. Maybe somewhere later on he'll debunk it, but it doesn't sound like he's going to. Here's the thing about Mark Carney. Hold on. Let me get back up here again. So I think we've gone over his lies enough, I think, probably. I'd have to keep doing that. But Mark Carney, well, his book is called Value, and then in brackets S, so value, values, and it's about this kind of delineation between societal values, what's good for a society, and value, like the value of things, the cost of things, what things cost, which is not strikingly original, right? But his view seems to be that central planners should just determine the value of everything, not people. So it shouldn't just be you deciding, okay, well, people deciding what they're willing to pay for something, which determines prices ultimately in free markets, right? He wants to make that decision because the thing you might want, like a internal combustion engine car, may not be good for our values. And by our values, he means his values. And also, too, is that kind of his spider web, his labyrinth of connections with God knows what. I mean, look, he still hasn't released his financials. We don't know what he's invested in, what his interests are, but we know from him working with asset managers like Brookfield, for instance, right? He's working with companies. He's investing in companies. What exactly is going on? His values might align more with things that he's invested in. Again, we don't know because he hasn't released his financials, and he won't. In fact, hold on a second. I had something. Hold on. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Okay, from Michelle Rempel Garner. Carney, who has gone through the entire race and will be sworn in as PM without disclosing his assets and potential conflicts of interest, mocks flaunting ethics rules in his acceptance speech. So, let's take a look.
Full disclosure. I know the leader of the opposition's into full disclosure, so I'm going to... Full disclosure. Full disclosure. Just want to get this on the table. Bob goes to my church. Full disclosure.
Well, the reason we want to know is because we want to know if you're going to use this position to enrich yourself. That's what we want to know, and we think it's a real concern. Enrich yourself, enrich your friends. Let's not forget, you're now leading the Liberal Party of the Green Slush Fund, which Liberal cabinet members were using to enrich themselves and their friends. So, I mean, this is a genuine concern. After 10 years of a Justin Trudeau Liberal Party that has been mired in scandal after scandal after ethics violation after ethics violation in a row, these are real concerns. In fact, they probably shouldn't be mocked. Not by you. Not if you're not going to tell us why we shouldn't be worried. Prove why we shouldn't be worried. I think the simple answer to this is he's not going to do it, at least not yet, because he knows it will hurt him. I mean, generally, that's why politicians do anything, right? But in any case, societal values. So his philosophy, the way he sees the world as a self-proclaimed elitist globalist technocrat, is that societal values, and by societal we mean his and his friends' values or interests, should determine the cash value of whatever, or just the worth of anything to society based on his values, which really means his interests, right? For instance, like EV cars. He wants to push you towards that. So he'll kind of determine. And they can do that by, incentives or decentives on buying like a regular car, for instance. So he is pretty much completely philosophically opposed to the things that would help Canada, the Canada needs to do. Talking about, he's getting rid of, so he's trying to trick people by saying he's getting rid of the consumer carbon tax, not because it was bad, but because people are too stupid. Really, his insinuation was people are just too stupid to realize what a great thing it was, right? But it's, it's divisive, so I'll get rid of it because you're all idiots, really. But he is going to be putting out a bunch of shadow taxes, and yes, he is on camera talking about the necessity for shadow taxes that the public doesn't really know about. In this case, massive increases in carbon taxes on industry and businesses, the big polluters, as he calls them, which is going to kill the Canadian economy and obviously send companies across the border into the warm, loving embrace of Donald Trump, who is trying to attract apparently every business in the world from every country into setting up shop in the United States with a series of actual incentives, low taxes, etc. So he is completely philosophically opposed to the things that would actually help Canada and improve Canada's economy, right? Oil is going to be on natural. He is going to dismantle the energy sector in Canada. He'll say that, well, no, we're building a new Canadian energy. It'll be like windmills or something. Maybe some sort of like biofuel you can make out of crickets or something. I don't know. He's into the green technology, the stuff that is expensive and doesn't work. Anyway, what else have we got here? Let's see. Let's get through all of the Carney stuff. All right. We don't have to go through all of the lies. I've done so many videos on them. Let's see. What else have we got? All right, just let's get on some kind of last notes here on this from JJ McCullough. It was a great channel, by the way. I don't agree with everything he says, but I think he does a great job at explaining. He's extremely knowledgeable about Canada, Canadian history, the kind of mechanics of Canadian politics, Canadian history. He's very, very good. You don't have to like her. You don't have to like her to argue Chrystia Freeland has been treated extremely unfairly over the last few months. Disrespected and fired by Trudeau for pushing back, then systematically ignored by a media that just declared Carney the front runner, even as the polls tightened. Yeah, Mark Carney was coronated. It was decided he was the one who had the best chance of keeping the CBC funded. That's basically what happened, and keeping subsidies rolling out to the corporate media in Canada. It was decided he's the one who can save us, who can keep the gravy train rolling. So they all went in. I mean, and it really was something to behold, right? Just the worship, the apologetics for him. Oh, well, I mean, he doesn't always speak, totally precisely, but it's totally okay, though, because he's great. He's great. Don't you think he's great? He's awesome. Well, I mean, not everything he says is totally precisely true, but he's fantastic, though, don't you think? I mean, precision is so cold, right? It's so cold. Where's the humanity? Where's the warmth in that? Yeah. So, Chrystia Freeland. Well, Justin Trudeau really did show his true colors, because let's go back to Trudeau, because do you remember this? Where was it? I think it's way back. We're going to have to go back far to get it. Is this it here? Oh, here we go. Okay. So here was talking about the American election and just how it wasn't supposed to be like this.
No, it shouldn't be that way. It wasn't supposed to be that way. We were supposed to be on a steady, if difficult sometimes, march towards progress. And yet, just a few weeks ago, the United States voted for a second time to not elect its first woman president. Everywhere, women's rights and women's progress is under attack, overtly and subtly. But I want you to know that I am, and always will be, a proud feminist. You will always have an ally in me and in my government. Now
oh, what a creep. What a creep. But I tell you what, when it came time to put his money where his mouth was, his money went behind Mark Carney, the man, the white man, Mark Carney. Ooh, it wasn't supposed to be like this. It wasn't supposed to be like this with Mark Carney, old white man. Where's all that feminism? What about, he couldn't have supported Chrystia Freeland? Well, I mean, they were fighting, so, but what about Katrina Goulda? Ruby Dalla? Ruby Dalla got kicked out of the race. Two candidates got kicked out of the race, by the way, to make room for this guy. But where's all that feminism now? Where's all that best feminist ever energy now from Justin Trudeau or the Liberal Party? I mean, it's all so fake and gross. It really is just all about power, isn't it? Just about power. All right. What else have we got here? Okay. All right. So yeah, Canada getting crushed from all sides. Actually, let's go back to the chat quickly. So we'll get into these China tariffs now, which media liberals don't seem to be that worried about for some reason. Let's see. All right, well, we're 50 minutes in. All right. Let me go way back in the chat. Nevada says, smart people know that carbon taxes are just a ripoff, wouldn't change a thing with the climate. Here's the thing. All of it doesn't work. Like, there's none of the things they are doing or they're proposing to do will change the global climate one bit. Not one bit. Like, you could spend trillions of dollars. The world could spend, $100 trillion a year, right? And it's not going to change it in any noticeable way. Certainly Canada couldn't. If Canada could be wiped off the map tomorrow, and it would make no difference to global climate, well, carbon taxes aren't going to do it. There's nothing within that nothing that's going to mean anything, right? If just Canada not existing isn't going to change the global climate one bit, right? There's nothing within the nothing that can be something. it's all just a pipe dream. It's just fantasies. It's magic. It's magical thinking. It's totally insane. Let's see. Story time with Uncle Kumaran says, we are screwed. You are right. Nevada says, drill, baby, drill. Let's see. Spambot says, Chrétien was a horrible prime minister. Okay, but he was what horrible used to be, right? Before Justin Trudeau. Like, we need different words. You can't use the same horrible for Chrétien as you do with Justin Trudeau, because Justin Trudeau is a whole new thing, right? He's wrecked Canada in ways that Chrétien could only have dreamed of, right? He set a new standard. Someone says he triggered the worst Alberta depression since Dust Bowl. Well, I'm not saying that he was awesome. I'm just saying that the levels of terribleness have changed. Let's see. Spambot says the only good thing about Chrétien was he could only speak out of one side of his mouth, unlike the rest of the criminal politicians. Well, that's an excellent point. All right. Story time with Storytype says trade seals. You're talking about the Carney audience? Yeah. They're just desperate to find somebody that can give them enough energy to actually get out and vote against the Conservatives, because they just hate the Conservatives. And they just always will. I'd like to know, like, what is the portion of the population, say of Canada, who are totally uninformed and low information, but are just absolutely, totally loyal to one party, where you could literally just take, say, the Conservatives and the Liberals, or the Conservatives and the NDP, and just flip the policies, but keep the names of the parties the same and the same leaders, but just completely flip the policies and have them each then being, passionately for the thing that's the opposite of what they were saying, the day before, and see how many people, look on Twitter, just see how many people just didn't even notice. Just had no idea, and just keep doing the same thing. There would be some conservatives. Conservatives are conservatives kind of have to be better informed. I'm not saying all are, but in general, they have to be better informed, because the media tide is always going in one direction. So if you're not going to be what they like, liberal, basically, you've got to have a reason, which means you have to know something else. You have to be accessing different information than what you're just simply getting from the CBC or Global News or whatever. And this has been documented as well, that conservatives in general, wherever you are, they know what the left is doing. They know what they think, as well as what their own side is doing and thinks. Whereas leftists have no idea what the right thinks. This is why it's so easy to convince them that, like, somebody like Pierre Poilievre is like a neo-Nazi or something, right? Because they have literally no idea. They get no exposure to anything that's not just left-wing narrative, like establishment narrative. And they have no idea what you think. None. We know what they think because you can't get away from it. Like, you can't hide from what they think. It's going to get to you because it's so pervasive in media. But anyway, I can't remember where I was going. Rumbum says, here's the plan: drill, baby, drill, and heavily invest in and build nuclear energy. P.S. Fuck that installed commie Carney. You get an applause for that one. You get an applause for that. All right, we're 56 minutes in. You know what? I'm going to cut off the YouTube part of this now. I think the YouTube stream is being badly restricted. I've noticed my channel is being strangled by YouTube again. I had a few months reprieve from it. Now I think with the Canadian election, you had the leadership, the Liberal leadership race, anticipating an election coming up. I'm assuming the CRTC has instructed Google to stop de-amplify, as I think they call it, not non-authentic Canadian content. That's what they call it. And the stuff they don't like, they call it, it's not authentic Canadian content, right? Even if it 100% is. So, yeah, I think we're just going to cut off the YouTube one. If you're watching on YouTube right now, join us on Rumble. And there's lots of people over here, and the chat is lively, and you will enjoy it. And if you don't, well, I want you to know, YouTube viewers, you are loved. I accept you. But join us on Rumble. Come on. Anyway, see you later. There we go.